So in today's video, I'm sharing how to detach emotionally from narcissistic abuse. So in this video, you're going to learn how to use detachment to physically and emotionally protect yourself from the narcissist behavior. But if you're new, my name's Michelle Ferris. I'm a psychotherapist and I love helping people create relationships that work. So what is detachment? Detachment is basically the ability to let go of certain people, behaviors, situations that are upsetting you. So instead of staying and trying to fix it or change it, you are going to remove yourself. You're going to take a step back. And this is what I like to call a silent boundary because you don't need to communicate it necessarily. So in narcissistic relationships, detachment is going to help you in two ways. It's going to help you physically protect yourself from getting harmed or emotionally taking on what they're telling you, because often we're gaslighted in these relationships and made to feel worthless and crazy. And I don't want that for you. So if you are suffering from narcissistic abuse, say me too in the comments. This video is going to help. So the other thing about detachment is it gives you that line between what is your responsibility and what isn't. The only thing that's your responsibility is your own behavior, your words, your actions. Everything else is what you don't have control over, including the narcissist's moods and behaviors. The narcissist is really good at playing the game of tag, you're always it. You're always at fault. And that's why detachment is going to help you so much, is it's going to help you know when to remove yourself, even if it's just leaving the room. So let's get started. Part of the trouble in narcissistic relationships is that we expect them to have empathy and common courtesy, and they don't. The only thing you can do when you're in a narcissistic relationship is be able to spot that narcissistic abuse early so that you know how to protect yourself. So the first way I want you to detach emotionally from narcissistic abuse is to create a mantra. This is a very simple, positive, self-soothing statement. And here's a few to get you started. I am worthy of love and respect. I deserve to be treated with kindness and compassion. My feelings and experiences are valid. I am not responsible for how others feel. I am honoring my own voice no matter what it looks like. I trust myself and my intuition. I am allowed to take up space. These are just a few examples that I want you to start practicing. And you can say this silently as a way for you to get your mind off of what they're saying and back onto what you are thinking about yourself. Because being with a narcissist is incredibly painful. And so the goal here is to listen to your own affirmation, not what they're telling you. Another way to detach emotionally from narcissistic abuse is to nickname the abuse. I did this with a client several months ago and it really worked. What we did is we nicknamed the abuse the tornado because the person would come in and they would just destroy everything in its path. But what that's going to do is that's going to help you detach emotionally by reminding you, oh yeah, that's just the tornado. It has nothing to do with you. Because that's what detachment is about, is to depersonalize what someone else is doing to you so that you can get back to center. Their narcissistic behavior is not about you, it's about them. Because narcissists are masters at making it your fault, because that way they can avoid taking a look at their own behavior, because they don't see anything wrong with their own behavior. That's part of being narcissistic, is they have no empathy for other people. They only want what they want in relationship. It's not about working together. It's not about negotiating. It's their way or the highway. And that's why these relationships are so painful. So another way to detach emotionally from narcissistic abuse is to say less in the conversation. Because part of what a narcissistic person will do is they will use your words against you and make you feel crazy. This is part of that gaslighting behavior where they'll use your words to prove their own point. So what I want you to do is I want you to just notice when you don't need to talk, when you don't necessarily need to share your opinion. Because especially if it's a hot topic, it's probably not going to be fruitful because they're only going to make you wrong. And I don't want you to have to go through that. Now, this is also why getting additional support is going to be key. And I'm going to talk about that one next. So in codependency recovery, you will realize that you are powerless over the narcissistic abuse. In Al-Anon, they call it the 3 C's. You didn't cause it, you can't control it, and you certainly can't cure it. And that's why it's really important to learn strategies like detachment, because that is what you can do in that situation. You're not going to be able to get the narcissistic person to stop abusing you. You can only protect yourself from that abuse by leaving physically or emotionally. And that's what I'm here to help you do. So this leads to the next way to detach emotionally from narcissistic abuse is you need to maintain outside friendships. This is absolutely key because nobody heals in isolation. And the narcissist is probably trying to get you to stop seeing family and friends because they want total control over you. I don't want you to let them do that. I want you to find ways to keep those friends and family in your life, because that is going to be your insurance policy down the road when you're ready to leave. Because at some point you might leave. You might hit your limit and say, I'm out. And when that happens, you're going to need a support system. And even if you don't think you're going to leave, you still need a support system because you need to save your sanity as much as you possibly can. And having outside support, whether that's a therapist, whether that's Al-Anon or CODA or a narcissistic abuse support group, all of those things are going to really help you stay grounded and hopefully cope in a better way. Keeping your friends is also going to help remind you that you're not bad or wrong. And those friends are going to validate how you feel in that narcissistic abuse and hopefully encourage you to start stepping out and taking better care of yourself, because that's also part of recovery. So the next way to detach emotionally from narcissistic abuse is to identify their early warning signs. And what I mean by that is you probably know when they're starting to get upset. Are they looking at you funny? Are they starting to be snotty? Are they getting frustrated and being loud around the house? Every person has different warning signs of their anger and upset, but I want you to identify those 2 or 3 early warning signs that are going to tell you you need to scram. You need to let them be by themselves, because trying to fix it or calm them down or change it won't work. I'm sure you've probably tried that 100 times, and has it ever worked for you? So what I want you to do is get out of the line of fire. I want you to know, oh, you know what? I can tell they're starting to go there, so I'm going to leave the room. I'm going to go to the grocery store. Something to avoid being in the same room with them, because we don't want to water that behavior. And what I mean by that is it's just like a little kid throwing a tantrum. You're not going to stay and encourage the tantrum. You're going to remove yourself. You're going to ignore it. This is the same thing with bad, toxic adult behavior. You are not going to participate in it. You are going to excuse yourself, probably without saying anything, because less is more in this scenario. Because what we want to do is protect you from their wrath. And one way to do it is to simply leave the room. So here's one last point about detachment. It doesn't mean you don't care. It means that you care enough to let the other person figure out whatever they need to figure out. It's not your problem to fix. If somebody's upset, if they're abusive, if they're wanting you to behave a certain way and you don't want to, that's their problem. Detaching is really about you just stepping back and letting them have their own experience by themselves. Because detachment isn't about the silent treatment. It's not a punishment. It's really a way for you to avoid unhealthy or abusive behavior. Because that is part of narcissistic abuse recovery, is for you to learn to put yourself first. Now, the next step I want you to do is I want you to go watch my video on how to set boundaries with toxic people. Thanks so much.